But Black power starts with Black women. It just does.
When most of the adults in boys' lives are women. This article is by Claire Kane Miller and read by an automated voice. The importance of role models for girls seems irrefutable. Efforts since the 1990s to provide female role models have had great success opening doors for girls and young women, who now outpace boys in education, outnumber men in law and medical schools, and excel in male-dominated fields like tech and politics. At the same time, boys have many fewer male role models in their daily lives. While men still fill most positions of power across American society, the people who interact with children are largely women. Occupations like pediatrics have switched to mostly being done by women, while those that were always female dominated, like teaching, have become more so. At a crucial time in their lives, boys are increasingly cared for by women, especially the many boys whose fathers aren't a regular presence. This lack of male role models, say researchers, parents, young men, and those who work with them, is contributing to their struggles in school and employment, and the overall feeling that they're adrift. Working with children has long been considered women's work, and as a result, has been undervalued, with low pay and a stigma against men doing it. The share of professional men in children's lives has decreased even more in recent decades. Over roughly the same period, single mother households became more common. Mentorship groups say they struggle to find as many male volunteers as there are boys who need them. And as families have become more insular, participation in community groups and churches has declined, and children spend less time playing outside with neighbors. Children get to know fewer adults. Some researchers and people working to support boys say there needs to be more of a focus on recruiting and training men to work with children. While women, I believe, are doing their very, very best to raise boys, I believe until men become part of that process, we're not going to make a huge dent in this issue, said Tony Porter, the chief executive of A Call to Men, a group that provides training on healthy manhood and violence prevention. Face-to-face role models matter. Girls continue to need more role models, especially in areas once closed off to women, like leadership. Boys have many examples of men in power, and of course, boys also learn from female role models. But research suggests that it's the adults whom children personally know and who share their gender or race who have the biggest effect. They influence children by representing what's possible, modeling behavior, and empathizing from shared experience. And their presence has been found to improve educational performance, career decisions, motivation, and relationships. Much academic research on the role model effect has been about girls, but some studies have shown how having men in their lives helps boys. Black boys do better in neighborhoods where there are more fathers around, even if not their own. Coaches, one of the few male-dominated jobs working with children, can play a formative role in shaping children's outcomes. Growing up without a father at home, as 1 in 5 children do, particularly disadvantaged boys, several studies have shown. In interviews and written responses sent to the Upshot as part of our reporting project on young men, several said the need for role models was more crucial than ever because they thought society no longer had shared values about what being a good man means. Those on the political left have rightly called out problematic male behavior, some said, but haven't offered positive role models as alternatives. Filling the void on the right are online influencers who offer a clear take on how to be a man, but sometimes a harmful and misogynistic one. It's not personally my politics, but I can see how people flock to these kind of people like Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate because they kind of the structure, they give them rules. This is how you can improve your life, said Patrick Hirschfeld, 22, who lives in Richmond, Virginia, and is studying to work in Homeland Security. Basically, there is an attack on masculinity with no positive alternatives to turn to, he said. Boys in poor areas are the least likely to have male role models, which can contribute to achievement gaps by family income and gender, researchers have found. Michaela Keeker teaches at an alternative high school in Newcastle, Delaware, where most of her students are boys from low-income families. The girls often have clear career plans, she said, mostly being health aides or cosmetologists, while the boys do not. They cling to traditional gender roles, she said, believing they should provide for and protect their families, yet being unwilling to seek fast-growing healthcare jobs because they're considered women's work. We tell them that they have a future and can pursue a different kind of life for themselves than what they were born into, but they don't see enough concrete examples of that actually happening for men in their community, Ms. Keeper said. A big role for coaches and teachers. Many men told me that male mentors can make all the difference. Tristan Armstrong, a 26-year-old engineering graduate student in Salt Lake City, grew up in rural Utah, where he said he was surrounded by male role models. His grandfather, father, uncles, neighbors, teachers, Catholic priests, and coaches. When he was having a hard time in junior high, the football coach noticed and recruited him to play. The coach ended up being pivotal in Mr. Armstrong's life, reaching out and helping me through that and finding the thing I excelled at and took pride in, he said. He really looked at it like he was teaching us to be good, healthy, functioning young men. Tim Gruber, 31, who teaches kindergarten and first grade in Driggs, Idaho, said he hopes his students see in him a full version of manhood. They see me as a guy amid a sea of women, he said. I would like to believe that I'm exhibiting different notions of masculinity. Yes, I'm a hard worker. Yes, I'm going to be strict and hold them to high expectations. But also, I will willingly share, I'll cry with the kids, I will show my emotional side too. His own male role models included a dean at his college who helped him define what masculinity meant to him, and a mentor early in his career who encouraged him to teach young children. More boys would have these kinds of positive experiences if more men took jobs that involved work with young children, like teaching, researchers said. Formal recruiting initiatives, like those that have helped bring girls into engineering and leadership, could help. Public support for activities outside school, in the arts or sciences or athletics, is important to ensure that children, especially those from low-income backgrounds, have a range of caring adults in their lives, said Jean Rhodes, a psychology professor and director of the Center for Evidence-Based Mentoring at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. And, she said, men who interact with children, even informally, could recognize their role in boys' lives and receive training to become effective mentors.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. We are doing a double header for the evening. I promised you a second act, and here we are. There is a new red pill male therapist making the rounds. He's going viral recently with his appearance on it's called Sharing My Truth podcast. It's two white ladies having a podcast about some things, and they invited this black guy who's a therapist, and I don't know if it is totally fair to describe him as a red pill therapist, because I don't know if he would describe himself as that, but nonetheless, I think the description fits. It's a very accurate description, and given that most of therapy is heavily female-centered, and most men don't really want to go to therapists for that kind of reason. I think it's an interesting development that we have a therapist who is not only male-centered, but whether by happenstance or he's an actual listener to the manosphere and the red pill content, he seems to deliver the message in a very clean, palatable way that random women will absorb. And I want to kind of go through that a little bit tonight. And so we're going to review some of his appearance on the Sharing My Truth podcast, because he explains a lot of the modern male condition very well. And so I want to focus in on that tonight. So once again, thank you guys for following up on the double header. Appreciate you for coming back. We are going to jump right into this next conversation. Hit that like button and let's begin.
What great question. I've always
because still, as a woman by default, she's still going to have value with some man.
wow. But at a certain age.
She's still, but again, if the first 60 years of you living, you're seen as valuable to somebody, that matters. Versus in comparison, you can go your entire life and be considered a genetic dead end.
That is actually so interesting.
Yeah.
So on the show, these are lead detectives whose job it is to learn, to question, think of things on multiple levels. And they had no idea that there's a subculture of bullying and ostracization amongst not just boys doing this to each other, but on social media, other people who you may not even know also saying things about you, also targeting you. And it's not just the bullying and the tactics, it's also the shaming, it's also the rejection, it's also being seen as invisible. And it's a very, very, very hard way. It's a very hard concept to try to describe to people who, for most of their life, or they have yet to experience what it means to be invisible since they were 14 years old.
One of the consequences of modernity is that this idea of really what he's talking about, the more traditional phrase for what he's talking about is male disposability, right? This idea that the average man is generally disposable. Like we can use him for a job and then cast him aside. He's no longer important in any way. And that's a historical realism. That's the reality for a lot of men, especially when you think about things like a draft or war or whatever. The thing is, modernity, especially with things like social media, it has exacerbated this idea of male disposability. And so now, if you reframe it back to invisibility as he described it, a guy who was invisible in 1980s anywhere small town America is now even more invisible in the social media. Everybody's globally connected. Any random girl thinks she has a chance with a Hollywood or an NBA type of guy, and the guy that she would have otherwise had to quote unquote settle with or settle for, he's even less of an option than he otherwise would have been historically. And then you add, economics and education into that, the fact that we're funneling money and opportunity into women as opposed to the men, it only exacerbates what he's calling the invisibility problem.
Right. Yeah.
They don't know what that feeling is. And I thought the show did a really good job of the parents didn't see it.
Yeah.
The detectives didn't know it. But the second piece I thought they got really great was when they found out, oh snap, the kid's being targeted, the kid's being bullied. The victim apparently was a contributing member of this and she was leading the charge. And the things that she would say and the viciousness of how they were treating this boy, I'm not going to say what he did was justified. Spoiler alert for those who didn't watch the show. If you didn't, it's your fault by now.
Yeah, exactly.
But the callous response that the woman investigator had when he tried to bring it to her attention, like, I think there's more that's going on with this case. And she said, I just want the attention to be on the victim, on the girl. And what I would suggest is there were two victims. It's just that one died.
Right.
One lost their life and one lost their freedom potentially for the rest of their lives. And what happens is that small little snippet is an example of the larger pool of what's going on. Yes, he did something wrong. Yes, he's the murderer. Yes, he needs to be incarcerated. I agree with all of that, obviously. But the environment that created someone like that.
Now, what he's talking about is the Netflix TV show or the Netflix series, Incel, I think. Oh no, Adolescence. I think it's called Adolescence, and it's about what they're calling an incel, and some kid who commits a crime against this girl who was bullying him. She was bullying him, and I think he like stabbed her or something right in class. And so there's a whole show about that. And I actually haven't really cared to watch the show because I'm not interested in digesting all the propaganda that they ever create. But it is an interesting point in that the liberal establishment understands that there is very much a boy crisis, as it's been called over the years. They understand that there's something going on with the young men. But being liberals and progressive as they are, they can only approach the boy crisis from a position of these boys are bad and there's something inherently wrong with the boys. And we have to figure out how to make the boys more diverse and progressive or something like that. It's a horrible approach to the whole problem.
We're so oblivious to the realities and perspectives of what young boys and men are going through. You don't get it that for many men, they don't see feminism. Doesn't matter if they don't have the great working definition of it, their experience of all these people who claim that identity. You don't actually care about equality. That's a woman advocacy movement, or at least.
And this is another thing I've noticed about not just women. This isn't even a women problem per se. So like when I go over to channels, like I've been over on the Freezy channel a lot lately, and then Sharon used to do his thing. I think he must got a job or something now. Sharon's channel went dead recently, but a lot of these other guys, I would get over there and they would be simping for black women more or less, right? And one of the things I realize about these channels is, as much as they claim to be pro-black, they care about the community, they care about black people, they really don't have any charity for their brothers, so to speak. Like, all of their black charitableness is directed and saved for the women. Very little of that charity is aimed at their brothers. There isn't that Cash Money Brothers CMB we all we got kind of vibe.
This was up until recent debates about who can or can't be a woman. But prior to this debate, it's always been, for many people, and particularly many men, it's more so a women advocacy program, which is totally fine. But you cannot say that you care about men and that you're advocating for equality. And I'm going to list these things off, and I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory paternity tests. You don't care about paternity fraud. You don't care about male suicide rates. You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside.
I'm going to let him go back through this list, but I just want to point out, and this is one of the reasons why when I have these like combative conversations with people, on other channels, I kind of argue knowing what he's already explaining. No matter how much the women on these co-ed manosphere panels they want to portray the role of a woman who cares, of a woman who's not like that, of a woman who isn't a part of the problem. And whether or not that individual woman is everything that she's pretending to be, it's irrelevant. Because as a group, women do not care about the fate of men. True story. I asked my mother a question like that a long time ago, and she pretty much told me no, they really don't. All that love and giggly stuff that women and men talk about when they're in the actual love of it all, it's real in the moment, but when it's over, it was never real. And so it's really difficult for a lot of guys to accept that nature of women. We want to believe that when she says she loves me, it's an eternal bond. But the reality is, what she calls love for you is a fleeting emotion that is momentary at best for most men. And what you're really more likely to experience is something like disregard. That is way more steady than what she calls love. And so post-love clarity. You get post-love clarity somewhere in your late 30s. But that's really what I've come to realize, is they are no true ally. They're great in conversation, they're great in bed, but they're no true ally.
You don't care about mandatory paternity tests. You don't care about paternity fraud. You don't care about male suicide rates. You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside. You don't want to equalize that. You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men. You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony.
Now, in these same spaces, and what up, honey? These same spaces where, as a black man, you get criticized and talked down to for not being a strong enough ally to the black woman. However, these issues never get brought up as reasons why you should seek allyship in the black woman. And this is why I keep saying this over and over again, and I want you guys to get this in your minds as well. This is not a romantic problem. You cannot solve this problem with a romantic approach. This is a power and leverage problem.
You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony, pathologizing of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things. And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm
has.
saying most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And
what is happening to the 80% is that, from a romantic perspective, obviously the dating market is sort of drying up. The women are unhappy. A lot of the men were always unhappy. But a lot of those unhappy men have essentially removed themselves from the equation. And what I think is happening with the dating market is that a lot of the men that the women wanted to choose from, but not necessarily choose, they've just removed themselves from the equation. And so what's left over are the men that are maybe sexually desirable, but they're not good beta providers. And so the beta provider thing it's a crucial thing. Women need that in a guy because, children happens, and most women do live past 35. And so you kind of want things differently when you're a little bit older and you have kids. But those guys are checking out because they realize that nobody loves me. And why should I keep playing this game where nobody loves me?
Just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things. And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm
has.
saying most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And the beauty is if I just get the man I want, if I just get the partner I want, if I just I don't care about what's happening with men. Let's bring the attention back to women. That's what the detective did in that show.
Right.
And that is what society in Western cultures is unfortunately like. Most people only care about males or boys or men if they are their brother, their son, or their father, or their uncle, or their close friend.
One thing that was never really, and maybe it was an impossibility at the time, but one thing that was never really considered in the run-up to the 19th Amendment and, women suffrage and all that. How does the very concept of women's inherent selfishness affect women's voting patterns? So I remember months ago, I was having a conversation with my oldest daughter who's off visiting her college before the season starts, the semester starts. And so I'm explaining to my oldest daughter that women shouldn't vote. I asked my daughter who she would have been voting for. She said Kamala. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm unhappy or whatever. But I explained to her that I don't like the idea of women voting. You shouldn't even vote. And she asked why. And I said, I don't really like women voting. And when I explained to her, long story short, the simple math of it is that women vote the money out of men's pockets. And on top of all that, women don't actually care about men as a group. And so I'm giving, voting and leadership authority to somebody who doesn't actually care about me. And that's not really a cool thing. I don't really care, but I don't care to do that sort of thing.
This society, in the quest to be fair to women, to improve their rights, allow the worst representatives to take it to its furthest extreme.
Right.
When we talk so much about misogyny, most women can't tell you what the term is for a strong distaste and hatred for men. What's the term? What's
Misandry.
the misandry? Being a misandrist. Most men's experiences that we keep labeling as incels, we keep labeling as misogynists. Their experiences in coworker situations, in the schools, dating, on dating apps, is that a lot of women are either misandrous or they're so reductionistic of men that if you don't have the money, you have no say, and you need to shut up.
Yeah, and especially when you're in this sort of red pill manosphere space, you always get accused of quote unquote hating women. And the irony is, if you point out the evidence that maybe proves how much women hate men, they accuse you of hating women. The evidence of women's hatred of men will get you accused of hating women. Supreme irony, bro.
Men, that if you don't have the money, you have no say, and you need to shut up. And even if you do have the money, it's happy wife, happy life once I'm in your life. I done told my wife, we joke around about it all the time. When we're amongst other couples and friends, she sarcastically say all the time, the one thing I appreciate about Jeff more than anything is he's the same exact person in home as he is in public. Right. He doesn't change. So if I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no. If I'm going to disagree, I'm going to disagree. And men not going through the natural maturation process as teenagers, as early adults, because they literally don't have the opportunity to with women. We can't be shocked anymore that there's an environment that's festering of boys and young men who unfortunately have a strong distaste. And I would argue.
And I just played the article for you where the average boy's life is surrounded by female authority at every turn. You've chased the fathers out of the home, chased the male teachers out of the schools. Anywhere, I mean, they don't even have Boy Scouts anymore. There's chicks all in the Boy Scouts now. Most of the places that were set up specifically for boys' development has been done away with or diversified.
Not even for women in general. Women in the Western cultures and countries. Yeah. This is why they're running to the other countries and cultures where men are at least still seen as valuable, relevant, important.
No, I think I will break a point.
Yeah.
I think that like anything in the West, to redress any imbalance in anything, we've had to go to some crazy level to the other side and come to a middle thing. And why are we so surprised? Why do we have to have shows like Adolescence that, quite frankly, are pretty late in the game in terms of culture? We're very late in the game. And like you said, I talk to quite a lot of my friends, who are all parents, and they had no idea I knew about it because I'm doing this podcast and I see these comments all the time, and I was very aware of it. I've read a lot about it. I had no idea about it. And I'm like, you have teenage children and young adult children. How do you not know How are you that ill-informed? I agree
What?
with you. To
You
me,
know
it's
what's
very
crazy?
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but you want to know what's crazy? When you're in a market and environment where both parents got to work long hours
Mhm.
and both parents are out of the home for extended periods of time, and both parents have to figure out so much, and you don't even have one parent that's like really super involved
Mhm.
versus they both are kind of got 40-hour work schedules, and one may have to do additional overtime, and the cost of living is exploding. It's harder than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
For parents, men and women, fathers and mothers. It's a lot harder now. We are living in an area in New Jersey where our property taxes per month is the cost of most people rent across the world.
Yeah, of course.
Where our daycare is more than the cost for daycare for 1 to 2 kids is the equivalent of what 50 to 60% of people in the world make.
You know, the other day I was on a Freezy channel, and this girl Venus asked me about the male loneliness epidemic, and I said I don't really think it's the males, but to the degree that there is such a thing, it's not because of the manosphere. It's really an economic and educational reality. Again, you keep funneling money and opportunity toward women, you're going to have less men that are viable partners for these women. Like, they literally won't want these men, and so it's not even a romantic issue at that level. It's just a structural reality that you're promoting the women over the men.
Mhm. Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of difficult to be super duper involved and actually know what's going. You know what she saw? My son's home. He turns the light off when I tell him to turn the light off, and he doesn't get in trouble. He goes to school every day. He gets good grades. Parents are just surviving. Mothers, fathers, people are just trying to figure this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is. I'm not saying it's a complete. That, like, there's no. They get no fault. They get no blame. I'm just saying that the context for what we're in is what's also creating this type of dynamic and environment. So it's. And then lastly, I meant to say, the dynamic. Why is this exploding, and why is this so big in the UK? And why are these government officials getting all involved in this? I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you are a young woman or woman, period, and you're thinking about, well, oh my gosh, this incel thing, and all these men want to harm me and hurt me and do this or do that. A huge percentage of the boys and men that feel that way, there's a reason why they're leading the statistics of being 4 times more likely to take their own life.
Right.
They're actually far more of a danger to themselves.
Than to anybody else.
Even in a relationship,
Mm.
you take a woman who's in a relationship with a man and a relationship with a woman, her domestic violence rates is significantly higher with another woman than with a man.
You know, I remember years ago there was a creator on this in this manosphere space called Zero, and every now and then he pops back up and does like a little ghost stream, and then he disappears. He fades off into the ether again. But Zero had a lot of interesting little phrases and witticisms, and one of the things he came up with is the soft nigger voice, right? And what I noticed about this particular guy, I think his name is Jeff James. This is the therapist here we've been listening to. He is much like the Kevin Samuels approach. He's found a way to deliver the message in a female listener palatable format, right? He is a walking, talking, soft nigger voice. And shout out to him for that. That's what's needed at this level, right? But he's doing a very great job of explaining some very basic red pill principles to these ladies in his soft nigger voice.
Really?
DV rates are up. Divorce rates are up. When same-sex relationships between 2 women than her with a man.
I know. It's the highest divorce rate is lesbian couples.
Yeah, and so is the DV rate.
What's the D?
They should be having the most orgasms. That's unbelievable.
Domestic violence.
Yeah,
DV rate.
right.
Lesbians probably have the least amount of orgasms technically, because lesbians have what they call lesbian deathbed or bed death or something like that, where Longtime lesbian couples, they just stop bumping humps. They just don't even rub the humps together anymore. They just be there, just fat and nasty together.
Yeah. So again, the show is so popular, it's so big, probably 250,000 plus people are probably going to watch it. And now they're again adding to this narrative that the most unsafe you can be is dealing with and doing life with men or males. And what I'm arguing is a huge percentage of them end up taking their own life. A very, very small percentage of them, if they get successful enough, end up finding a suitable partner, or they're going abroad to find a woman who can meet their needs. So it's not to say that there's violence between men and women that doesn't exist. Of course, it's a thing. All I'm suggesting is that the show, there may be ulterior motives for why the show is being pushed. And whenever politicians or celebrities or anybody who's not a normal person jumps in on a wave, always be wary of what's the thing that they're pushing and what's the policy that's going to come down as a result of this. Is this going to be a social media crackdown? Is this going to be a monitoring thing where people have to register their social ID numbers or something in order for them to even have access to a website or have access to the internet?
I swear they will shut the internet down because of the manosphere. They will revoke everybody's internet privileges if this manosphere thing keeps growing. I'm telling you, they don't know what to do.
I'm going to argue this: prime time. It's perfect to push something like this in a political environment when Gen Z and some millennials, between men and women, are splitting further than they've ever been. And then you have a huge pool of women who are looking for explanations to justify why all these men are splintering off and voting differently than us, thinking differently than us, going their own way, not wanting to marry women. There's got to be some explanation for it. And it can't possibly be because of our decision making.
Yeah, because women are never wrong. And a government that exists to cater to women is also never wrong by extension.
Hierarchy of what we're attracted to or not attracted to. It can't be us. It's got to be because they're all incels.
Right.
It's got to be because they just outright hate women. It can't possibly be because there's been an environment that's been telling them that we hate you. Can't possibly be that. It can't be society or culture or the colleges or liberal. It can't be any of those factors, or even how we treat the men who we think don't check off all about. It can't be none of that. It's got to be because of this Netflix series, and now we need a policy to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's the level of thinking that I want all of us to start to get better at when we watch anything on social media, anything on streaming services, because I would argue much of the things that's impacting us and influencing the quote unquote gender war is not even coming from in here. It's coming from what we're seeing on screens and on these computers.
Now, that's where I would break with this, the good doctor here. The gender war existed before the manosphere was a thing. The manosphere was born because there was a gender war going on. And so, like, when you talk about the media influence of it all, it was only when you had like this YouTube technology where guys can just sort of put out this type of content, this sort of unfiltered, unrefined content where you could give the male point of view. We didn't really have the raw male point of view in your mainstream media. And so for him to act like the gender war was only online, I think that is a reflection of men being allowed to express themselves online in a way that you're really not allowed to at work. Like, you can't be at your job complaining about how the workplace is ruined because you got to work with all these unhappy bitches, right? You can't do that at your job, but you can sit on your nameless, faceless YouTube channel and logically explain how the addition to women in the workplace will ultimately feminize the workplace over time if you run this out through generations, right? You can make a great argument and have citations and historical referencing and all that, but you can't do that at work, though.
When I walk around in everyday life, men and women still open the door for each other. A woman's in trouble, men are still going to rush to help her. A black man, a white man is hurt in some way. Whoever the race of the person is, they're still going to try to intervene and help them. I'm trying to lift a heavy box. My white neighbor going to come and lift it up. Somebody who's gay or trans, if they need help or support, it's still happening. Hate exists, I know that, but I'm telling you, the social media, the trends, what's going viral isn't actually 100% a reflection of what's actually happening most of our lives. You're actually not walking around and most men are spitting at you, calling you names, attacking you. That's not happening in modernity, not in mass. The majority of a huge percentage of the men that's a threat, they're arrested, they got records.
No, absolutely. Like, I think obviously social media makes it look like
magnifies.
Everyone is out to get you.
Yeah, men are way more of a threat to ourselves than we tend to be to the women. It's a pattern. Like guys abusing women is probably a minority. A lot of guys, and you see this in like the post-divorce thing where she ruins your life and you no longer want to live, but you'd rather take yourself out than harm her.
And that's why we're having so many problems.
Well, now adolescence, as true as it is about exposing something that a lot of people didn't know, what's the takeaway?
That this is happening everywhere.
This is happening everywhere. It's crazy. It's so much going. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. The U.S. and our thing of violence, we have the monopoly, it seems like, on school violence. It's insane. We're not using knives. We're using guns.
Yeah.
And much of it is in response to being bullied or being radicalized with some particular political or religious ideology. That's usually what it is. It doesn't make it any better, but it's really not heavily connected. No, there is no significant data that shows that this is happening in mass. I'm telling you, if you went to the data and looked at UK stats of who's the primary groups doing the stabbings and the knifings, it's not who you saw on the show.
Right.
It's not who you saw. We don't have to go political or go into who is and who isn't doing. It's not who they showed on the show. You have a market of white males.
That was really interesting timing with your comment, Freeman's Journal. He is literally sliding into that right now.
Who feel so angry and disenfranchised and feeling like they're being blamed for everything, and they're not allowed to hold an opinion, not allowed to hold a view. And now you're shocked with the reactions and responses of what's coming. And it's not even all violent. It's just a noticeable shift. And in the end game, everybody can say, well, we're all going to lose in the end. The mountaintop is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated. Mother Nature's undefeated. The men post 30 who can figure out how to get what they need in order, physically, emotionally, financially, they have the leverage. The most leverage a woman's going to have is when she's her fittest, youngest, most fertile self.
Of course.
100%. I say this all the time. Because I hear so often, oh, women are the gatekeepers of sex. And you're like, they are when they're young. When they're young, but you start to, I think women sort of 30, 35, you start to sort of, it's not that you're not attractive, but you're not attractive to the same age as men, whereas men can look up or down or along. Whereas women, the older we get, we can only look up in age or down in age. I mean, I always say to my husband,
even then, looking up in age is, a woman can maybe marry an older man. Looking down in age means you're just having sex with a young guy. There's no stability in that relationship. He's your boy toy. Now, I think what's really happening right now in modern relationships for older women, you know, the 50 and up crowd, once upon a time, it may have been viable for an older couple to pair up and maybe even get married and take on life together. At this point in American culture, it makes no sense. Unless you're both in your late 50s and you literally have to partner up and struggle through life together, it just doesn't make any sense. And even then, you're probably better off on your own. Like, can you really trust her? Like, it just isn't happening for the older crowd like that. And so you're going to get a lot of older women. I mean, obviously men, but who cares about the men? You're going to get a lot of older women who really just are adrift.
If I, you know, God forbid we wouldn't get divorced. If we got divorced, he could find anybody of any age, and it would be a younger woman. Absolutely, be a younger woman.
You said he's a lawyer, right?
Yes, he's a lawyer. He can marry who he wants.
What are we talking about here?
Exactly. No issue.
There'll be a lot.
Exactly.
There's gonna be a lot. It don't matter how he look. It don't matter how he dress. When they hear lawyer and they hear widow, oh, he need food. He need.
Exactly. Oh no, it's true. Whereas I'd have to marry an 8-year-old
for sure.
And my goal would be like,
I'm also marrying an 80-year-old, by the way.
I'm not
That's my
saying there's
plan.
anything wrong with that, but
Here she go.
but it changes. I mean, we could obviously go on forever talking to you. There's so much to talk about.
I know.
I
wanted to go back for 1 second.
Yeah.
Did you finish all of your thoughts on the cheating? Because we may have skipped a bit.
I definitely prepped for this part because I figured this question.
Let's go. It'll be our last little segment of the show because we've already gone over an hour, which I love. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
All right. So
this dude is about to give the longest explanation / defense / reasoning for men cheating. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but he had to use a lot of words though.
The main thing I'm going to say is I'm careful to avoid what's called a naturalist fallacy. And this is the false belief that because something is natural, it must be moral or good. So I just kind of put that out there as a qualifier with what I'm about to say. There's something called like a blank slate theory or socialization theory. And it's it's a debate about nature versus nurture.
Mm-hmm.
Most people who consider themselves feminists, they have a working presupposition or theory about human beings, men and women, and human sexuality. And the belief system is rooted in this. When you lean much more into nurture versus nature, anytime you see distinctions, differences, sociological reactions or responses for whatever reason between men or women, you're going to believe that you can socialize it out of them. And that's what it means is if you don't believe that there's biological, evolutionary hardwiring that's built into us to be attracted to desire, to do and behave in certain ways, you're going to believe that the sex that's not doing what you think they should be doing is because you can socialize them to now act like the other sex.
Right.
You think you can logically convince me to not be aroused by other women just because I love you? Like, because I said I love you, or maybe even I like you, I'm supposed to not be aroused by other women. Like, it's just dead now. That's a crazy place to be.
Yeah. All right. The reason why that's important with this topic and all others is because there is a version of femininity that believes any distinction, even when it comes to sex, is something that just has to be completely 100% socialized and changed out of men. And that as long as men start to behave, communicate, think, and act like women, they'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to sex, they'll insist that there is no innate psychological differences between men and women. They'll functionally believe that because they're psychologically the same, we should have the same expectations. This is the issue. There's physiological differences. And the physiological differences some are very minute, but then some are massive with huge implications. These are some of the differences that I noted. And obviously, naturally, we know that there's differences between men and women.
I haven't really done an official word counter, but he's using a lot of words to explain to these two women the theory of how and why men cheat. Like, it takes a lot of words for them to understand.
Strength, speed, upper body strength versus lower body strength. We know this. Like, generally speaking, there's physiological differences, but there's physiological differences when sex occurs and when they have orgasm.
Mhm.
And I'm going to question I'm going to have a question once I list these off. And the question is this, actually: do men and women experience sex, and are the consequences they experience from said sex the same or different? These are the things that I noted that were different. Men tend to have higher sexual desire and are more accepting of casual, non-commitment based sex. Sex hormone amounts and patterns are different between.
Freeman's Journal, I don't know if I would have personally categorized it as sounding like a woman, but I think you're probably not far off base with that. I said he's delivering the red pill in a way that's palatable to the female ear, which would alter the sound of the red pill very much, right? But maybe that's what it takes for the women to listen to it, right? You have to use a lot of soft words you wouldn't have otherwise used. Like, if he was explaining this conversation to two guys, he could have used 12 words and a fist bump, and everything would have been understood, all right? That's all he would have needed, 12 words and a fist bump, and we would have all been on the same page. But with women, thousands of words. You have to emote properly.
Between male and females, the hypothalamus, which is the region of the brain involved in sexual activity, is both larger and more sensitive to testosterone.
Mhm.
Men tend to experience quicker and more intense sexual arousal and orgasms compared to women. Research shows that women's sexual desire has more variables and is influenced by factors like self-esteem, relationships, emotions, and how they feel about their bodies, the relationship, and overall emotional state.
Yeah, Freeman, I'm with you 1,000%. He says the key to red pill winning is bullying the men. Talking to the women is just entertainment. And that's exactly what I've come to realize over the years. The problem isn't the women, it's really the men. The women will do whatever the hell the game tells them they're allowed to do. And so if the men get on, on code, as you niggas like to say, the women can only do what the rules allow them to do. And so in order to fix the code, as it were, you now have to bully the men. Because there's a lot of men who are basically female coded. They're female, they're bitch brained. And you're going to have to force them off of their position one way or another. And bullying works, you know what I mean? You build up enough energy, you can do a lot with bullying. Low key, the pyramids were built with bullying. What do you think slavery is? It's just organized bullying. You can do so much with bullying.
Social consequences of clear communication of their desires in the domains of sex, especially sexually. So think of it this way, because that one could be a little bit confusing. If men were bluntly or straightforwardly honest about how often they think about sex, about the different ways that they think about sex, about the different types of women that they want to experience in terms of thinking about sex, if they were honest about how they felt sexually, are they rewarded for their honesty?
No.
And then lastly,
That was quick.
reproduction evolutionary drives for men or women. You are the product of thousands, if not tens of thousands of years of one side of a person or one set group trying to survive and procreate and mate select in a certain way. And the other group, you're the product of a person people who kept sowing their seed.
Mhm.
And the question is going to be like, well, wait a minute. If there's all of these evolutionary, biological, physiological differences, and men and women clearly don't even experience sex, let alone orgasms in the same way, I don't know. Actually, I do know, but I'm just saying it facetiously. I don't know that in the quest to be like men, that's actually been a net benefit to most women, especially after 40, 50 years of this experiment.
Damn, bro, all of that just to explain why men be cheating. I'm almost lost. I feel like you done whole-splained me off the point. I'm confused now. This nigga done whole-splained it to the point of confusion. I done forgot what he was really trying to talk about.
That doesn't mean that men are justified to cheat. It seems to suggest that at least their biological hardwiring has designed them to better be able to be okay with doing it.
Right. I mean, I totally agree with that. Like, men are built.
All that just to say that we're just physically built for cheating, which is low-key an acceptable answer. Like, women are not physically built for cheating. You can only carry one man's baby at a time, right? Men are physically built for cheating. We can impregnate an infinite amount of women. Like, every day in a 30-month day, we can impregnate multiple women theoretically. Women can't do that. We're physically built for this, right? Don't blame me, okay? I am wired for this, all right? The fact that I'm not out there every day burying my seed in a fertile field is a testament to how much I love your funky ass. So I wish you would shut the fuck up and let me love you.
To sex. And women
So
are.
we're both built to have sex, but men are better built to do meaningless sex.
Right.
What came with the sexual revolution and liberation, we have to acknowledge, was the opening the door for loveless sex.
Mm-hmm. Well, men are built to populate the earth.
For commitment-less sex.
Mm-hmm.
And men are biologically hardwired to be better built with doing that on a regular basis. And nothing feels like wrong for him to do it. He doesn't have to know your name.
And you know what, American man, you're right. It did take 1,000+ words and a handful of emotions. And they seem to understand now. And I would have got angry and frustrated halfway through. I'd have been like, you stupid bitches. And I would have lost it. I couldn't have maintained the thread. And that's why a guy like him is needed. Soft nigga voice is needed. You have to take the manosphere explanations beyond the podcast realm. You have to be able to sell these ideas in the soft nigga voice format.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to know anything about you. He just has to find you attractive. There's so many more.
Yeah. You know what, David? I envision a generation of manosphere red pill trained hoe whisperers that we will unleash upon the corporate and political world.
Social cues. There's so many more cues that a woman is this safe? Is if something happens, is he going to harm me in some? There's so many other things that's innate in there. No one had to tell her these things. And so for me, it's less about whether it's right or wrong, and it's more about, in the quest to be progressive and modern and this and that, are we ignoring biological reality at the potential risk and demise of women? I would argue that the greatest victims of this experiment that we've been doing, loveless, commitmentless sex, recreationally, number 3 on the list is the men who can't get access to it.
Ooh, that boy good. He about to explain how me cheating, how you hating me for cheating on you is actually hurting you, baby. You don't even understand. Like, me cheating on you is not the thing that's hurting you. It's you being angry with me for cheating on you. That's the thing that's hurting you, baby. You're gonna get yourself a heart attack. And I don't want that for you.
Number 2 on the list are women who are single and can't find a suitable partner, who are looking for long-term commitment and monogamy in a market where the men who get the options don't have to give that.
Mm-hmm.
Number one on the list is children. You don't even have to be a celebrity. You have guys that look like me whose experiences with women will rival kings and monarchs from previous times before they turn 30 or 35.
Listen, even an average guy like me, I think having 3 children right now, I have as much or more than the average black guy. The average black guy doesn't have 3 kids. I don't think so, because the numbers seem to be flat. And I'm just kind of wagering. You know what? Let me test this theory. Let me go to Google real quick. Google, how many kids does the average black man have? The average black man has 2.4 children. Again, I have more kids than the average black guy, and I'm just a regular nigga. And God knows, like I said, I've done a lot out there on the way to having 3 kids. And so if I'm slightly above average, that means the average guy ain't really doing all that much.
That's the reality. You're in a market where things are not equal. They're never going to be equal. Our equality starts and stops with our value as human beings. I'm not equal to another man.
Shout out to True Hype with a $2 super chat. He says, "Can AI just do soft nigga voice so I don't have to?" That's a great usage for AI. I gotta find a way to monetize me some AI, man. I gotta get me an automatic business going.
So what made you think like there's men who do way better than me, make way more money than us, way more respected, and men that don't? We're not equal. We only are equal as human beings. Nothing else about what we got going on makes us equal. So when you try to be equal to a man and you try to dictate what's going to happen in this market, I'm going to be honest with you. You got 2 choices. Part of the other reason for why some men will cheat is because they don't have the option to do so. What's the reward for the guy that no woman is checking for? You don't have the option.
Now, he is trying to give these ladies some low-key wisdom, but he's using a lot of words and a lot of female mannerisms, like the way he's even positioned himself on his own couch. This is the body language of soft nigga voice. This is why I said he is the walking embodiment of soft nigga voice, right? If the soft nigga voice was a whole person, it's him. And like the way he's up on the couch, he's got his elbow out, his fist behind his ear, his I'm thinking pose, his chest wide open and exposed because he's open and welcoming. This is the soft nigga voice body language. And that's what he got to do. He got to be this way because he's trying to, get the message across at some of the higher levels, because he's a therapist. He's in a professional world trying to introduce these conversations, And so I don't begrudge him that, but I will point it out and laugh a little bit.
You don't even have the option to cheat. No woman checking for you. You're not that attractive. You got lucky with getting with some woman who wanted to.
No, bro, come on. Why you gotta call it the about to get some dick pose, bro? Nah, bro. Come on, that was too much. That was too much. You gone too far, Biggs. You gone too far. That you can't call it the about to get some dick pose, bro. Come on, man. That was too mean. That was too much. Don't do that to the brother. He a young professional brother out there. Don't hit him like that.
Settle down or settle for you. And part of the reason why you're so faithful is because it's fairly easy when you don't have women that's constantly trying to poach you and steal you from your wife or girlfriend.
Sure. What about the men who are like actively, even if they aren't like, let's say not bad?
Mm-hmm.
What about those men who are actively looking and like cheating is hard nowadays because people consider cheating as porn. People consider cheating as talking to someone else on social media. You know, there's a lot of layers of cheating nowadays.
Yeah, I would say this, and this is going to be funny because my group, we talk about this stuff all the time.
It is crazy you keep calling it. You calling it the about to get some dick pose, and he literally spent the whole interview like that, bro. I swear to God, like, I hate that you called it the about to get some dick pose because he stayed like that for like an hour and a half, bro. That's just crazy when you think about it.
As a woman, part of the reason for why it wasn't ultimately just your decision in the past was for this very reason. Because if you had to make it, let's say 100% of men cheated. 100% of men are going to cheat or have the capacity to cheat. 100%. And the question is, are you going to give one man 10 chances? Or are you going to give 10 men one chance?
Are you going to give one man 10 chances, or are you going to give 10 men one chance? Now, what's really interesting about this, and we talk about like the growth and the progress and expansion of this red pill thing and all the ideas and concepts. Let me take you back in time to a joke. I think it was from Corey Holcomb. It might have been Patrice O'Neal, but I'm pretty sure this is a Corey Holcomb joke. But Corey Holcomb was saying how women who get cheated on and then they leave their man because their man cheat on them are actually stupid women if you think about it. Because you're going to sacrifice sleeping with the man who loves you to go out and fuck a series of strangers over and over again. And that's literally the option, right? And you know, when you think about it, as a man who has like daughters and all that, what would you tell your daughters about relationships? And you know, what if he cheats on you? And it really is that simple, though. You don't have a lot of great options. You either get a guy who has no capacity or ability to cheat because nobody would ever want him, or he just don't know how to get nobody else, or you get a guy who maybe does have the ability and he has to struggle against the temptation. And then what if he, you know, fails at that? You can either forgive him or you can roll the dice with a bunch of random niggas over and over again. You don't have a lot of great options, right? And it's not like life is perfect for men or women. We all have our burdens in this. I'm just saying, you just don't have a lot of great options and all that. Nothing's perfect here. And so you're going to have to choose between the best and perfection.
The amount of women who will say that they would I'm done after the first time. Every time I don't tolerate it. I don't this. I don't that. What I'm suggesting is going to sound kind of controversial. You only have 3 options when it comes to mates with men. The man who probably doesn't have the option to cheat.
God damn it. We really didn't need that dark news, but that explains that explains why we're all getting really soft pings on our collective gaydar. I didn't want to like go out there and try to insult the man or nothing like that, but yeah, Ra. Yeah. We are definitely all getting soft pings on the gaydar, and I you know, I didn't really understand what I didn't want to go out and give it a definitive, you know, reading. But Tahuti says, "Hey Hood, I saw him on another podcast, and he mentioned that he was violated as a child by a male. He talks a good game, but we must watch him with a close eye for vetting." And like I said, I'm not going to just throw anything on his name, even because of that. But it does explain why we kept getting that slight ping, kept getting a shadow of a marker there. Something was going on there, you know. The mannerisms, you know, body language body language is a language unto itself, and you have to become fluent in such languages.
And the man who does, and the man who has the option to cheat, you have to make a decision of whether or not you're going to stay. There's men that probably will never cheat on you. They won't have the opportunity to. Ain't no women going to try. That woman go give him the time of day. He stays to he plays video games all day. He don't go nowhere. He don't do nothing. He doesn't check all 8 of the 10 boxes that women are looking for. Chances are, or if he's extremely religious and extremely disciplined, and if you don't want the guy that most other women don't want, or if you don't want the guy that's ultra conservative or ultra religious, you got to deal with the men that potentially have the option to cheat. And then you have to decide between that group, is this the type of man that I'm willing to give my name to, give children to, marry, and stay with, even if something like this happens?
That's crazy. Girl math is, if I have his baby and he cheat on me and get another girl pregnant, will I still stay with him? Girl math. That's crazy. I don't know how to figure out those kind of calculations. Luckily, I'm not a girl, so none of that's real to me. But that's real girl math, right? If you get pregnant and then he get another girl pregnant, do you love enough to stick around? Do you love him enough to stay with him? That is literally girl math, man. Women be having to go through some things, I tell you.
And then you have to decide between that group, is this the type of man that I'm willing to give my name to, give children to, marry, and stay with, even if something like this happens? That's the choices.
Mhm.
The guy that you're probably 99% confident won't, and the guy that may or may not, and you got to decide if you're going to stay with. What's the guy? It's going to sound horrible, but what's the man that you're willing to saddle and set yourself up with, to where either he doesn't do it, if he does, you'll stay, or he does, but you'll never know or find out about it? Cheating in private.
That's the only option now.
Cheating in it's cheating with play. Cheating with play. Like, the whole point I'm making, it's a stark reality, is you're in a modern world where the pool of men that you're even interested and attracted to, you have a global market of competition of women who also think he's attractive.
No, I agree. Like, it is a very weird place that we're in right now.
I love how he's explaining to these 2 women that you're just gonna have to share the guy you like, and they're kind of okay with it. This is the state of modern relationships, by the way. Love is dead. Monogamy is old world culture. The women are willing to share the guys they want, and the guys they don't want are invisible. It's the cold world we living in.
Now, because people have so much opportunity to cheat. And in my experience, dealing with a lot of men through all ages, most of them cheat. And so it is very interesting to me when I see a man who doesn't cheat or has no interest in cheating. And that was like my ex, who was seriously a very kind man. And he is, if I say so myself, he is one of the top guys. He's good looking,
very
he has a
handsome,
great
yeah.
job. He had no interest in cheating. But
That's
I
'cause he
think
had you.
well, I know, obviously, but I think he's abnormal. I don't think it had anything to do with me. I think it was his.
It didn't. When guys who can cheat don't cheat, it's an internal mechanism. It's a moral structure. It's a logical defense mechanism, because sexual discipline is a self-defense mechanism. But either way, the man deciding to not have other women when he easily could is him rationalizing his own best options. Has nothing to do with how good looking
It
you
usually doesn't. Because it still is his decision at the end of the day if he wants to do it, regardless of what you're going to do or not do. But you got to remember, he's still an ex.
Well,
I didn't.
but like,
No,
yeah,
what I'm saying is that didn't help him
right,
in the grand scheme of things.
right. You're right.
That didn't ensure that you would stay.
You're right.
And that's the thing that I don't think. What's the best way to say it?
Oh, just say it anyway. We can take it.
We'll see more on our audience, but yeah.
So many of the bad boys, so many of the cheaters, so many of the guys who constantly are running through women were at one time the dutiful good boy. A lot of them, you aren't born a bad boy. You see who gets the attention. You see who ignores you. You see what happens when you get a little taller, get a little more bass in your voice, grow a little bit of a beard, and the dynamics change.
Totally.
You see how they change towards you once they suspect or see that another woman is interested. You're seeing this stuff. And
you know what? I want to share something with you guys. I'm gonna take a hard break. We're gonna make a really hard break. I was thinking about recording this segment as a standalone edited video, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do it live. All right, fuck it. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna run the tape. I have a whole segment, a whole skit that I want to run with you guys because it is amazing. It is hilarious, and I can't believe that I came across this today. I was blown away. I was what's a great word? I was enthralled. I was legitimately enthralled by what I'm about to share with you guys next. Because this guy, he's kind of slipping into a little bit of red pill explanation stuff, and it just reminded me of something here. And we're going to probably wrap this part of the show up. We're going to wrap up today's show with this last bit here. But this is, I can't believe this is a real thing that I had not discovered until just today. But, and you guys will never believe this. If I tell you that Tom Cruise is my favorite red pill dating coach, you would think I was full of shit. If I were to tell you that Tom Cruise was Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate was Andrew Tate, you would think I was full of shit. If I were to tell you that Tom Cruise hosted his own red pill dating seminar, you would think I was full of shit. The Tom Cruise, that guy, that's the guy. I promise you. Yeah, bro, I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, wow. I saw a clip of it, and I'm like, wait, I got to go back and investigate. And then I found other clips of it, and blown away. Tom Cruise is my red pill dating coach spirit animal. Give me 30 seconds, because I literally got to run take a piss real quick. But give me 30 seconds, and I'm going to show you why Tom Cruise is my red pill dating coach spirit animal. Okay, we're back. So let me give this proper introduction. So, Red Pill, Tom Cruise as Andrew Tate. The complete Frank T.J. Mackey seminar. This is from a 1999 film called Magnolia. Never heard of it till just this morning. This is an immaculate spoofing of Red Pill, dating coach, manosphere culture before it was even a global phenomenon. Like, how did you know about this, Tom? And look at the banner behind him. A big wolf with a fiendish appearance. He got his tongue out. And there's like a little innocent looking white kitten that's like running away in terror almost. And it says, seduce and destroy.
Respect the cock. And tame the cunt.
Respect the cock and tame the cunt. I was literally blown away this morning watching this clip on my phone. I'm like, holy smokes, this is the most unbelievable Tom Cruise I've ever seen in my life.
And tame the cunt.
This is Tom Cruise as Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate was Andrew Tate. This is amazing.
Tame the cunt. Tame it. Take it on head first with the skills that I will teach you at work and say, no, you will not control me. No, you will not take my soul. No, you will not win this game.
1999, Tom Cruise was a coked up maniac. I'm telling you. 1999, Tom Cruise was a coked up Scientology maniac. He was just crushing poon and snorting lines and preaching the Scientology gospel, bro. He was unstoppable back then.
Because it is a game, guys. You want to think it's not, huh? You want to think it's not, you go back to the schoolyard. You have that crush on big-titted Mary Jane. Respect the cock.
Yo, it's so bad, it's good. just Tom Cruise looking dead serious at the camera.
Respect the cock.
Like, really? You gonna put some respect on this cock, bitch.
You are betting this thought. I am the one who's in charge. I am the one who says yes, no, now, here.
And you know, it's so funny. Like, there are people who accuse the manosphere of, quote, pandering to their male audience right here. And clearly, Tom Cruise is doing a great job of it because he's got an audience who cheers and woofs and howls at everything he says. Like, this is clearly male pandering. But I don't really hear this in the actual manosphere.
Because it's universal, man. It is evolutional. It is anthropological. It is biological. Oh, it is animal. We.
Even this is a little bit homoerotic, right? Like, you on the stage air humping and dudes are like, woo, 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 woo. Like, even that is a bit cringe. The whole thing is way over the top.
Man!
About another guy you need?
Another guy.
Does she know how you feel about her? Have you discussed that?
Yes, absolutely.
And what does she say?
She says she doesn't feel that way about me.
I wonder about this though. Is the self-help dating coach world still strong? Like, can you still pull a crowd like this? Because I imagine the manosphere probably put a dent in that pool of money. A lot of those guys are probably just checked out. Like, what's the point? I'm gonna get my high score up.
I don't think there's anyone in this room that doesn't understand that kind of pain, Jeff. And I want to thank you for sharing that with us. All right? Let me tell you what we're going to teach Denise when we put our calendars to work and we set goals. All right?
What I say is, Denise, the piece, I mark it down. Oh, I write it up. And you have been warned. Because I have my lasers, I have my tasers, I have my ICBMs, I have my bazookas, I have my jets pointed right at you.
I never knew Tom Cruise. Look at this wrist. What is this wrist belt? And you know what? This is literally a theme of like pickup culture, is having like, I don't, what's the word for it? Having some kind of visual pizzazz, some kind of trinket, you know, usually it'll be like a crazy hat or something like that, but he's got a wrist belt. Like, I don't think that's an actual watch. That's a belt wrapped around his wrist. And the only reason to have that on is to have it on. It's to symbolize something unique and ironic about him. And this is a literal like element of the pickup world culture. They'll advise you to do something like that so you can sort of mark yourself out as different from the average invisible nobodies. And I'm just watching this like, damn, Tom really, he really understood the role, bro. Tom Cruise really is one of the last great American actors.
Because me and my brothers, we like to celebrate. And
Peacocking.
on the 1st of May, we celebrate V-Day. And come June, oh, baby, it is the lick of my spoon. Come August, we like to celebrate Saint Suck My Big Fat Fucking Sausage. I set goals for myself, and one, I say I do not want to take it anymore. I will not take it anymore. You think she's your friend, Joff. You come here and you think she's your friend. They're not your friends. Do you really think that she's going to be there when things go bad? Huh, guys?
But he was really giving up some game, though. That's what made this actually crazy. The banner says seduce and destroy. That's what it said, literally. Seduce and destroy. But Tom Cruise is really giving up the game, though. It's crazy. I had no idea he was such a red pill OG.
Things go wrong. Do you think they're going to be there for us? Oh, you think again. Oh, fucking Denise the piece. You were going to give me that cherry pie, sweet mama baby. Oh, yeah, but listen up. That is not to say that we don't all need females just as friends.
Oh, at the bottom, it says no pussy has 9 lives. Oh, my God. At the bottom of the banner. No pussy has 9 lives. It's crazy work, bro. That's crazy work. They put a lot of work into this scene,
Because
bro.
we're going to learn later in chapter 23 that having a couple of chick friends lying around come in real handy in setting jealousy traps. We'll get to that later. Right now, what I want you guys to do is I want you to pull out your blue booklets, page 18. Now, we're going to be going through this quickly. Don't worry about it because we're going to workshop it later. 18, blue booklet. Form a tragedy. Now, this is simple and clean. And if done correctly, can be very, very effective in getting some bush. Here we go.
Give the niggas workable in the field strategies, bro.
Now, you call up your so-called friend. You set a date. Let's say make it around 7:30. You call her on. Welcome back from the...
Yeah, the original Platinum OG, bro. I can't believe it was Tom Cruise. Before there was any of these niggas, there was Tom Cruise. Before there was an Obsidian. Before there was an Angry Man. Before there was a Tom Likas. Tom Likas was probably still around back then. It was Tom Cruise, though. I had no idea.
How'd you guys like those nachos? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you are not here for the fucking food. You are here for me to enlighten you, to edify you, to send you off into the now not so unknown future. So come along with me. How to fake like you are nice and caring. No, I don't want a microphone.
How to fake like you are nice and caring. I struggle with that. I could use this lesson right here.
Now this is quite an important chapter, as you will see. But let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get right down to it, boys. Let's get right down to it. Men are shit. What? Men are shit. Well, isn't that what they say?
That is what they say. Holy crap, you're right. That's exactly what they say.
Is that because we do bad things, don't we? We do horrible, heinous, terrible things. Things that no woman would ever do. Now, women, they don't lie.
No, they don't do that.
No, women don't cheat.
No, they never do that either.
Women don't manipulate us.
Never.
But you see what I'm getting at?
And you know, the whole time he's doing this character, there's a weird rage in his eyes as he's doing this character. Like, there's an anger. Like, he almost has incel rage in his eyes as he's running through this character. It's actually great to watch.
Oh, yeah, you see what I'm getting at. You see what society does? Boy, little boys, it's...
It really is, though, for little boys. Everywhere you turn, it's woman. Everywhere.
Does, boy, little boys, it's woman. Yeah, we are taught to apologize. I am sorry. I'm so sorry, baby. I am so sorry. What is it? Huh?
And this is a great moment of introspection here, because you understand this is a piece of a movie. So the character in the movie is going through shit in his own life, and then he also has to do his job as a male, as a male life coach or whatever.
What do you use it? Their pussies, their love. Yeah, mommy wouldn't let me play soccer, and daddy, he hit me. So that's who I am. That's why I do what I do. Like bullshit. I will not apologize for who I am. Will not apologize for what I need.
And again, he's kind of giving a lot of the spirit of the modern manosphere red pill thing. And it's crazy that this came out back in 1999. Like, that's how long they've been trying to keep a lid on this kind of thing.
I will not apologize for what I want. Okay. I go to your blue booklets right now. I want you to turn to page 18 in your blue booklets. Fucking bullshit. I want you to go to your white books.
What's in the white book? That was wild.
That's what I want you to go to. Go to 23 in your white books. How to fake like you are nice.
Like I said, he be going through stuff in his real life.
Welcome back from the break. How'd you guys like those nachos?
Wait, no, that wasn't the right scene. Hold on. Here we go. There's a trailer for the movie.
In this big game that we play, life. It's not what you hope for. It's not what you deserve. It's in this big game that we play, life. It's not what you hope for. It's not what you deserve. It's what you take. I'm Frank T.J. Mackey, a master of the muffin and author of the Seduce and Destroy system, now available to you on audio and video cassette. Seduce and Destroy will teach you the...
Did he say master of the muffin? You guys heard master of the muffin, right? I remember hearing briefly, though, master of the muffin. Put a 1 in the chat if you heard him say he was master of the muffin.
In this big game that we play, life. It's not what you hope for. It's not what you deserve. It's what you take. I'm Frank T.J. Mackey, a master of the muffin and author...
A master of the muffin. No, not a muffin master. Do you know the Muffin Master? Oh my God. I do know the Muffin Master. He lives on Mulberry Lane. Oh my God.
The Seduce and Destroy system, now available to you on audio and video cassette. Seduce and Destroy will teach you the techniques to have any hard body blonde just dripping to wet your dock. Bottom line, language.
Not wet my dock. Whoa. How? I didn't realize my dock was going to get all wet.
The magical key to unlocking the female analytical mindset. Tap directly into her hopes, her wants, her fears, her desires, and her sweet little panties. Learn how to make that lady friend your sex-starved servant. I don't care how you look. I don't care what car you drive. I don't care what your last...
You got to understand. This was a real commercial that they put on as promo for the movie Magnolia. And legend has it, the website is still up. I didn't actually go check the website myself. Legend has it, because, I got my ear to the internet streets, and I heard from a guy who heard from a guy whose third cousin's sister's boyfriend's friend was on the website, and just yesterday it was still active. Yeah. Tom Cruise, man, he's the legend.
Sweet little panties. Learn how to make that lady friend your sex-starved servant. I don't care how you look. I don't care what car you drive. I don't care what your last bank statement says. Seduce and Destroy produces an instant, money-back, guaranteed trance-like state that will get you this naughty sauce you want.
I want the naughty sauce. How do I get the naughty sauce? Does it come in a 6-pack? Do you have to refrigerate the naughty sauce after you open it? I'm really curious about the naughty sauce. Now I have all kinds of questions. I'm so autistic.
Fast. Hey, how many more times do you need to hear the all too famous line of...
Why do you look so angry, though?
Naughty sauce you want fast. Hey, How many more times do you need to hear the all too famous line of, I just don't feel that way about you?
Why you look like you mad at the bitch for me? Like she told me no, and you ready to go over there and curse her out for me. Like how are you mad for me? That's crazy. Tom, he was really about his business back then. He was gonna get you them buns. It was his mission in life to get you them buns, all right? If he had to get a Navy SEAL team involved, he was gonna get you them buns.
That will get you this naughty sauce you want fast. Hey, how many more times do you need to hear the all too famous line of, I just don't feel that way about you?
Order now and get the entire Frank T.J. Mackey Seduce and Destroy system with Frank's personal magical key guarantee for the low price of $29.95.
$29.95 is quite reasonable. It might have been expensive back in 1999. It might have seemed a lot higher. But I mean, what's that in today's money? Like $50 maybe? Because inflation is crazy. Oh man, Freeman got naughty sauce nostalgia. You got naughty sauce nostalgia. You going back in the days with it. Oh man, like I said, Tom Cruise, I had no idea this was a thing. I discovered a little bit of gold earlier. I'm like, wow, you really did this? Hold on, there's another scene. There's something else that's a deleted scene. There's something else I left out. I know I got it here somewhere, but there's something else in that scene that got left out. We got to find that real quick.
Your so-called friend, you set a date. Let's say make it around 7:30. You call her on the phone.
That sounds like fun, Frank. I love seafood.
All right. Then I'll pick you up around 7.
Yeah,
Okay?
okay. Okay.
All right. Well, bye-bye, Janet. Now, you wait until about 10 o'clock. No earlier. You ring the bell. She answers.
So when the game bros tell you that they don't take girls out on dates, this is how they used to do it.
Pissed as hell, but finds you sobbing your eyes out. You explain to her between sobs that you were babysitting your neighbor's cat. It went into seizure.
My neighbor's cat. White folk be having elaborate strategies.
You didn't realize that poor Pookie was a diabetic when you fed it the homemade cookies. You rushed it to the animal hospital. But unfortunately,
I rushed it
by the time you got there,
as quickly as could.
little Pookie Pussy didn't make it.
Not little Pookie Pussy. Little Pookie Pussy died, Tom.
I was crazy. And when I got there, I couldn't get anyone's attention. I'll never forget. It's just, it's Paul. And it was too late. It was
That's how you get the sympathy coochie from white girls who don't know nothing.
too late.
I can't believe I'm telling you guys this. Oh my God, I'm going to hell.
Yeah, we're all going to hell for watching this too, Tom. Thank you for this.
But guys, this shit works. I know it sounds insane, but there is no girl alive that is going to let you be alone in a situation like that. All right, moving on. Technique 2.
You know what's crazy? When you look at him, he even has girl hair
Like
in this.
that.
Like this totally girl hair.
All right, moving on.
He damn near has like side bangs. Like that's a long side bang right
two.
there.
Putting on a fight. Putting on a fight. Now, guys, this is not a knockdown, drag out. Frankie, god damn it, this shit just isn't working. Give me some pussy, bitch.
All my life, I lived just for this moment to hear Tom Cruise say that.
This shit just isn't working. Give me some pussy, bitch.
My whole life has built up to this one moment. And it's glorious. It's really beautiful.
Shit just isn't working. Give me some pussy, bitch.
Platinum Cruise is an amazing. I never knew Tom Cruise went full platinum.
It's working. Give me some pussy, bitch. Don't do that. Don't do that. Subtle. Remember, we are using reinforcement technique G on these women. Here's how. One day she calls you on the phone.
Mackie.
Hey, Frank, it's Janet. I thought maybe you might want to grab a bite and see a movie.
You very directly say,
I know exactly what you did, Janet.
What?
I think that's an old school version of negging. Like, this movie was so way ahead of its time, bro.
And you want them to want you, but they will wonder. And let them wonder, because they will always wonder, what did I do? What could I have done? How should I behave to get this thing back? And if they call you back, oh, they want you.
And this is actual red pill advice. Like, just start a fight. Just be on some bullshit for no reason. Yeah, push, pull, hot, cold. It actually does work. They are driven by random chaos and drama. They don't even understand why they're attracted to it. And they don't have to understand.
yeah. And they are asking for you to hurt them. And that is what you must do. That is what you must do, which is to punish them many, many times over.
Tom Cruise is the greatest red pill hero there ever was. I would put Tom Cruise up against Andrew Tate any day. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. You guys have a great night, man. We are done. It's been a long day. Take it easy, y'all. Enjoy the red pill. Channel Tom Cruise as your spirit animal. Trust me on this.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.